In the serene yet imposing landscapes of the Austrian Alps, perched at an altitude of 10,000 feet, lies a less known, almost enigmatic tourist destination. This place, accessible only via a gondola or a challenging hike for the particularly determined, strikes an awe-inspiring balance between its breathtaking beauty and subtle yet ever-present reminders of its potential perils. Today, I bring you a harrowing story from this remote location, one that is shadowed with mystery. On a crisp morning of August 9th, 1989, Duncan McPherson, a 23-year-old Canadian, parked his little red car in a valley blanketed by the lush greenery of Austria. Duncan, a once promising hockey star destined for greatness, was selected as a first-round draft pick by the New York Islanders in 1984. But the tides of fortune didn't turn in his favor, and despite his undeniable talent and athleticism, he never secured a spot on the Islanders' main roster. Realizing that his professional hockey career might be drawing to a close, Duncan, instead of succumbing to frustration, decided to pivot towards a coaching role. In 1989, he made a commitment to coach a small-time professional hockey team in Scotland. Before embarking on this new journey, Duncan decided to press pause and take a much-needed break. He planned an extensive European vacation, a breather from his life dedicated to hockey, and the Austrian Alps were first on his list. Upon reaching the gondola station near the Stubai Glacier Ski Resort, Duncan purchased a ticket and embarked on a journey upward. The resort was unique, not just for its remote location, accessible only by the gondola or a strenuous hike, but also for its glacier slopes that allowed skiing year-round. The resort used heavy machinery to convert the thick ice into a skiable powder, a feature that distinguished it from other ski resorts. Duncan, eager to learn snowboarding, rented his gear and soon met his instructor. The instructor, quickly recognizing Duncan's natural athletic ability, complimented his rapid progress. They practiced the basics on flat ground before ascending the glacier. However, the weather had other plans. As their lesson progressed, rain began to pour, eventually giving way to a dense fog covering the mountainside. The instructor noticed Duncan soaked attire and offered to dry his sweater in his office. Duncan, in the meantime, purchased a new sweater from the resort's gift shop. After a lunch filled with light-hearted conversation and shared anticipation for the next day's lesson, the instructor encouraged Duncan to practice solo, given his commendable progress. The next day, the instructor arrived early, coffee in hand, expecting Duncan to join him. However, Duncan was nowhere to be found. Back in Canada, Duncan's parents received an alarming phone call from the Dundee Tigers, the Scottish hockey team awaiting Duncan's arrival. Duncan had not shown up for his first day of work. Alarmed and confused, Duncan's parents filed a missing person report and embarked on a daunting journey across Europe in search of their son. For weeks, they tirelessly distributed flyers and followed every possible lead. About a month into their search, their efforts led to a breakthrough. A news segment in Austria mentioned a little red car, the same car Duncan was driving, found abandoned near the Stubai Glacier gondola. The police, now fully engaged, organized a large-scale search operation. In an unexpected twist of fate, Duncan's parents encountered his snowboard instructor at a local hotel. The instructor, recognizing Duncan from the flyer, recounted their last meeting, but could offer no clue about his whereabouts after they had their lunch. The search party scoured the mountain's terrain, delving into every crevasse and shadow the glacier offered, but to no avail. Duncan's parents continued their search for 14 years, never losing hope, always returning to the glacier, hoping for some clue and some closure. Fast forward to July of 2003. A ski resort employee, riding the tow rope, spotted a bright yellow object on the slope. Initially mistaken for trash, this turned out to be Duncan's jacket, and beneath it, preserved in the ice, lay Duncan's body, still looking like the 23-year-old who vanished all those years ago. The discovery was gruesome. Duncan's body showed signs of being mutilated, likely by a snowcat tractor that's used to groom the slopes. The prevailing theory, pieced together from the evidence available, suggests that Duncan, after his lunch with the instructor, ventured out for a solo run. In the dense fog, he likely took a fall, breaking his leg. Unable to move and invisible in the fog, Duncan lay helpless on the slope. At the same time, a snowcat tractor was out grooming the ice. Due to the reduced visibility, the driver, unaware, ran over Duncan. Panicked and fearing repercussions, the driver hid Duncan's body in a deep crevasse, an act of desperation that locked the truth in the ice for over a decade. The theory further suggests that in a state of shock and fear, the snowcat driver, after accidentally mutilating Duncan with the tractor's rotating blades, made a fateful decision. Instead of seeking help, the driver, shrouded in anonymity provided by the fog, decided to conceal the accident. Duncan, who was possibly still alive, albeit severely injured, was tied up and dragged off the slope to a secluded area known for its deep crevasses. The driver disposed of Duncan's body, along with his severed arm and leg, into one of the deep crevasses. To erase any traces, the driver used the snowcat to pack and smooth over the ice, effectively burying Duncan under a frozen shroud. For 14 years, Duncan's fate remained a mystery, his story becoming a whispered legend among the locals and staff at the glacier resort. His parents, fueled by a relentless quest for answers, returned to the Alps year after year. They scoured every part of the mountain, got to know every trail, every staff member, and every possible hideaway, yet they found nothing. The discovery in 2003 was both a closure and a new source of agony for Duncan's family. The well-preserved state of his body was a stark reminder of their loss, as if time had stood still for Duncan while the world had moved on. The mutilated condition of his body and snowboard pointed to a chilling narrative, one that contradicted the initial assumption of a simple disappearance. Investigation into the snowcat driver who might have been responsible hit a dead end. The statute of limitations had expired, with no concrete evidence pointing to a specific individual. The case grew cold. No one at the resort came forward with information, and the identity of the person responsible for Duncan's tragic end remains unknown. Duncan's story is a haunting reminder of the unpredictability and dangers that can lurk in nature's most beautiful settings. It serves as a cautionary tale, emphasizing the need for vigilance and preparedness in the face of nature's whims. His parents, though heartbroken, found some solace in finally knowing what happened to their son, but the unanswered questions and the absence of justice leave a lingering sense of injustice. The Austrian Alps, with their breaking vistas and serene landscapes, continue to attract visitors from around the world. But for those who know the story of Duncan McPherson, the mountain also holds a somber tale, a tale of adventure turned tragedy, and a family's unwavering search for the truth amidst the frozen peaks. Throughout NBA history, a prevailing misconception has persisted, suggesting that the majority of NBA players have had an easy journey. However, this notion is far from accurate. Despite the tantalizing potential for fame and fortune, the life of a professional NBA player is arduous, marked by significant sacrifices and relentless hard work, often yielding limited rewards. While it is true that some players have achieved the pinnacle of success, it is more typical for athletes to encounter hardships and descend into personal struggles. Seldom do we hear about professional athletes whose challenges lead them to make the ultimate sacrifice. One such athlete was Brian Williams, who had once been a standout NBA player. Unfortunately, his story took a tragic turn. The date was June 13th, 1997, and the Chicago Bulls had just clinched their 5th NBA championship in 7 years. Their victory is an epic series against the Utah Jazz, complete with 2 last-second game-winning shots and a remarkable performance by Michael Jordan despite battling the flu in Game 5. The team gathered amidst a throng of 24,000 jubilant fans. Michael Jordan, with a look of satisfaction on his face, stood at the center of the festivities. To his left was Scottie Pippen, and to his right stood Brian Williams, the Bulls' 6'10" forward. This championship marked a pinnacle in Williams' career. but one wouldn't discern it from his demeanor. Despite the significance of the moment, the 28-year-old appeared distant and seemed almost lethargic. However, a closer examination revealed that behind his pale green eyes lay a harrowing narrative involving love, deception, and tragically, loss. Brian Carson Williams entered the world in Fresno, California on April 6, 1969, as the second and youngest son of Patricia Phillips and Eugene Williams. Brian seemed destined for success, given their father's history as a former soul singer for the Platters, a renowned American vocal group formed in 1952. In 1970, the R&B group discovered Eugene at a nightclub, leading to the family embarking on a journey that would take them around the world with the Platters. However, from the early days of his childhood, it was evident that the family's close-knit bond was headed for a tumultuous demise. This prophecy materialized in 1970 when his parents, his father and mother, underwent a divorce, leaving the children without a paternal figure in their lives. Although their mother eventually remarried, by the time Brian reached the 7th grade, her second marriage was already crumbling. During his formative years, Brian attended Santa Monica Catholic High School in Santa Monica, California, where he excelled as a track runner and an exceptional athlete. However, there was little indication that this 15-year-old would evolve into a prominent basketball star. In fact, he didn't even attempt organized basketball until the 10th grade, when an unexpected growth spurt compelled him to explore a career in the sport. Unlike most aspiring NBA players, Brian harbored no initial passion for basketball. Despite his initial indifference, the left-handed forward displayed remarkable grace on the court. He moved like a point guard, effortlessly executing baseline jump hooks and exhibiting a smooth touch. He glided across the court, displaying his exceptional skills as an outlet passer and a trailer on fast breaks. At times, he showcased his athletic prowess, becoming an invaluable asset to his team. His abilities made him an ideal candidate for success, and he only continued to improve with each game.
Points, and this team seems like you guys are coming on real strong now towards the end of the season, aren't you?
Yes, we are. At the beginning of the year, we weren't doing so. We weren't playing together. Now we're really playing as a team. We're looking good.
After completing his time at Santa Monica, Brian embarked on his freshman year at the University of Maryland, standing a towering 6'9" tall. Here, he joined the Maryland Terrapins, earning the title of Rookie of the Year for his outstanding performance. Before long, he transferred to the University of Arizona, where he truly began to shine. In his first season in Tucson, he averaged 10.6 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 0.4 assists, followed by a second season, where he recorded 14 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 0.6 assists per game. These achievements highlighted Brian's undeniable talent on the basketball court. As he continued to excel, Brian Williams, at the age of 21, entered the 1991 NBA draft, ultimately being selected as the 10th overall pick in the first round by the Orlando Magic.
10th pick in the 1991 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic selects Brian Williams from the University of Arizona.
Brian Williams, 6'9½", 240 pounds, played his high school basketball at Santa Monica, California. He's 22 years old, and his father, as you pointed out to me today, is also famous for Maryland Platters.
Right, well, you know, he started out at Maryland, and he was successful early. What you must see from him is consistency. He has a very soft shot, a low power game, plays with a great deal of emotion.
After years of unwavering dedication and hard work, Brian Williams finally achieved his dream of making it to the NBA. However, unlike most players, his entry into the NBA wasn't the pinnacle of his life. It turned out to be a significant low point. Brian's sentiments were less than positive, as he expressed, "I'm going to the bench. Never really a good feeling. I just go down there and work out with the team, the staff, and the management. The owners are good people, and the team I'm playing with seems focused and determined. They appear to be on an upward trajectory, and I'm glad to be a part of it." While Brian initially excelled with the Orlando Magic, his lack of passion for the game and personal troubles began to overshadow his on-court success. During the 92-93 season, he played only 21 games, and he was diagnosed with clinical depression, making him one of the first publicly recognized instances of mental health issues in the NBA. His struggle with depression had a noticeable impact on his performance. Initially, his behavior became unpredictable during practices, including passing out while guarding teammates and being involved in a car accident. He also admitted to a suicide attempt where he ingested 15 sleeping pills. His mother even suggested that there may have been a second attempt. Brian Williams attributed all of his mental health issues to his unhappiness in Orlando. Following his diagnosis and struggles, Brian was placed on the injured reserve list. However, in the 1993 season, he made a pivotal decision to leave the Orlando Magic and join the Denver Nuggets, where he played alongside NBA legend Dikembe Mutombo. During this stint, he played a career-high 80 games and averaged 8 points per game. In 1995, Brian moved to the LA Clippers, where he played 65 games and averaged an impressive 15.8 points per game. Contract disputes initially led him to considering sitting out the remainder of the season. However, the Chicago Bulls, led by head coach Phil Jackson, reached out to him. Entering the 1997 season, the Bulls were the reigning NBA champions, with the return of Michael Jordan from his brief retirement. The team, having previously won 72 games in a season, signed Brian as a free agent just 9 games before the regular season's conclusion. Michael Jordan, upon his arrival, motivated and pushed Brian Williams to get in shape, maximize his talent, and develop a genuine passion for the game. Brian ultimately embraced the challenge and seamlessly integrated into the new roster. His significant playing time off the bench during the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Atlanta Hawks proved to be a pivotal move, as he delivered an outstanding performance throughout the series. This included scoring 14 points in Game 3 and achieving a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds in the series-clinching Game 5. On June 13, 1997, in a highly anticipated NBA Finals matchup against the rival Utah Jazz, Brian continued to play a crucial role in the Bulls' pursuit of their 5th NBA title in 7 years. His contributions were instrumental in the franchise's successful championship run. Throughout his tenure with the Chicago Bulls, Brian displayed remarkable talent and untapped potential. To this day, many of the NBA star's family and friends assert that this period marked the only time in his life when he was experiencing genuine happiness.
Would you like to be a member of the Chicago Bulls for only a month? And earn yourself a position to play in the championships and win a world championship ring? Well, I'll tell you what, that's exactly what Brian Williams did.
This means the world to me. I can't thank you all enough for embracing me, the coaches, the players, the whole organization. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Despite his undeniable talent, Brian's time with the Bulls was relatively short-lived. He struggled with certain deficiencies on the court, and his erratic behavior became increasingly perplexing. This was exemplified when he attempted to open the emergency exit hatch of the team's charter jet while cruising at 30,000 feet, an act that could have resulted in a catastrophe. Consequently, he was seen as a liability, both on and off the court. Brian Williams would eventually find a new home when he signed an astonishing 7-year, $50 million contract with the Detroit Pistons. This raised eyebrows considering his inconsistent performance. Nevertheless, as the starting center for the 1998 Detroit Pistons, Brian, now known as Bison Dele in honor of his Cherokee and African ancestry, averaged 16.2 points and 8.9 rebounds per game. Subsequently, after participating in just 49 games during the 1998 NBA lockout season, Bison Dele, despite being in the prime of his career and still having a substantial amount of money remaining on his contract, made a bewildering announcement: his sudden retirement. He had been the Pistons' highest paid player, with over $36 million left on his 5-year contract. Walking away from such a substantial sum of money was unfathomable. Criticism poured in from friends and family, but Bison Dele, despite 2 relatively productive years with the franchise, retired from the game. Money could not provide the stability and fulfillment that he sought. Despite his on-court accomplishments, it became evident that basketball did not bring him the happiness that he yearned for. In the end, Bison Dele's retirement marked a departure from the conventional path of professional basketball players. Unlike many whose careers are cut short due to injuries or lack of skills, he retired to pursue a different kind of spotlight, one far removed from the NBA arenas. It was apparent to many that basketball was not his true passion, but rather the luxuries that it afforded him. Following his retirement, Bison Dele began to chase his genuine desires. He spent months in Beirut, traveled through Europe, ventured through Indonesia and India, and even took up DJing at nightclubs. He met with the Dalai Lama, enjoyed jet skiing in the Mediterranean, ran with the bulls in Spain, rode camels in Cairo, admired Havana's beautiful sunsets, and explored the bazaars of Istanbul. He also pursued his love for music, mastering several instruments like the saxophone, violin, and trumpet, and also earned a pilot's license. This was the life that he had envisioned, a departure from the glitz and pressures of the NBA. Fueled by curiosity, and now financially equipped to do so, Bison Dele was on the path to realizing all of his dreams. Regrettably, the chances of his dreams ever coming to true fruition would soon meet a tragic end. In February of 2000, Bison Dele fulfilled a lifelong dream by learning how to sail. He eventually purchased a 55-foot catamaran boat for $650,000 and named it Hakuna Matata, albeit with a slight misspelling of the Swahili phrase for no worries. Bison then set sail in the South Pacific, exploring destinations like the Solomon Islands, Fiji, Australia, and various points in between. Toward the end of 2001, Bison extended an invitation to his girlfriend, Serena Carlin, to join him on one of his adventures. They had initially crossed paths in 1997, and despite the strong affection they had for each other, Bison's NBA career had made maintaining a relationship challenging. To make up for lost time, Bison decided to embark on the adventure of a lifetime with Serena. Just 5 months later, the Hakuna Matata was poised to set sail from Tahiti with plans to spend time in Hawaii. Unfortunately, their idyllic journey would soon turn into an unthinkable and tragic disaster. While Bison Dele was finding himself and pursuing his dreams, he carried a shadow that had been with him his entire life, a shadow that had consistently asked him for money ever since his NBA success. This shadow was Kevin Williams. In stark contrast to Bison, Kevin was socially awkward, unsympathetic, and with severe asthma, which led him towards books and chess instead of sports, music, and wealth. While Bison had achieved success, Kevin had struggled, moving from one job in town to another, frequently relying on his younger brother's financial support. To the public, Kevin remained known as Bison's brother. Despite Dele's apparent joy after leaving the NBA, Kevin remained deeply attached to his hip. Although the two brothers had distinct personalities and differences, their physical resemblance was striking. Standing 6 foot 8 inches and weighing 260 pounds, with a broad jaw and short hair, Kevin appeared as a thicker, less attractive version of Bison. Like his brother, Kevin also changed his name to Miles DeBoard. He battled depression, made multiple suicide attempts, grappled with alcoholism, and took significant amounts of steroids, resulting in frequent hospital visits, with Bison often covering his medical bills. Despite their similarities, people invariably gravitated towards Bison, leaving Miles feeling underappreciated and overshadowed by his brother's success. To make matters more complicated, the siblings had never fostered a genuine relationship. Since childhood, they had often been at odds, engaging in continuous arguments and physical fights. The sibling rivalry seemed inescapable and enduring throughout the years. So, when Miles learned about Bison's upcoming trip, he decided to invite himself along in a desperate attempt to mend their strained relationship. This endeavor, however, would ultimately end in failure. On July 6, 2002, Miles unexpectedly showed up at the dock. At the time, he was unemployed, homeless, and had not had any contact with Bison for over 4 years. Bison Dele was understandably skeptical of his intentions, as Miles had had a reputation for only appearing when he needed money. The question arose, did he seek more financial support, or was there another motive behind his sudden appearance? On July 6, 2002, Bison Dele, Serena Carlin, Miles DeBoard, and Bertrand Saldana, the boat's captain, embarked on their voyage to Tahiti, unaware of the tragedy that would await them. Initially intended to last 2 weeks, the trip took an ominous turn. Over the next 2 days, 3 satellite phone calls were made from the boat. On July 8th, the satellite phones on the boat were abruptly turned off, and all communication was ceased. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, friends and family grew increasingly concerned about the lack of contact from the couple. On July 20th, the Hakuna Matata finally returned to port in Tahiti, but with a startling twist. Only one person was on board, and that person was Miles DeBoard. The other 3 passengers, including Bison Dele and Serena Carlin, were missing. This marked the beginning of a tragic and perplexing mystery. Investigators immediately suspected foul play, and for several months, Miles was under suspicion. According to him, Bison Dele appeared to be alive, but the whereabouts of the other 2 passengers remain unknown. Nothing seemed to add up, and as investigations continued, the case grew more confounding. Then, on September 5, 2002, a significant development occurred in Phoenix, Arizona. A man claiming to be Bison Dele was found in possession of his passport and checkbook. He attempted to purchase $152,000 worth of gold, a highly unusual activity considering that Bison had not written a check in over 5 years. Furthermore, Bison was supposed to be on his trip in Tahiti at the time, casting doubt on the situation. Fearing something was amiss, Bison's executive assistant contacted the Phoenix Police Department. This event raised serious questions and intensified the mystery surrounding Bison Dele's disappearance. He was last seen in Tahiti on a 55-foot catamaran. At the age of 33, the former NBA star had vanished, with an ongoing manhunt spanning from the United States to Tahiti. Intriguingly, it was discovered that Miles had been impersonating his brother. The phone number associated with the gold purchase led back to Miles. Police organized a sting operation, resulting in his arrest. After a grueling 5-hour interrogation, he confessed to forging his brother's signature on the bank documents and using Bison's passport, but he was released due to lack of concrete evidence. 2 days later, reports from Tahiti indicated that the boat had been found. Authorities located the Hakuna Matata, which had been registered under a different name, off of the coast of Sahibi. The nameplate had been removed, and there were signs of possible bullet holes. Suspicions grew that Miles might have been responsible for the deaths of the other passengers, and these concerns were substantiated when it was revealed that Miles had left a voicemail for his mother, claiming he would never harm Bison and that he could not endure prison. In response, Miles fled to Mexico, a state that did not have the death penalty. During his time in Mexico, Miles' girlfriend shared information about what had truly transpired. According to Miles, he and Bison got into a heated altercation, resulting in a physical fight. In the struggle, Serena was accidentally struck in the face and killed instantly. The boat's captain wanted to report the death to authorities, but Bison, fearing the consequences, killed the captain by striking him in the head with a wrench in self-defense. Miles claimed that he then entered the cabin, retrieving a gun, and shot Bison out of fear of his own life. In a panic, and without considering the consequences of his actions, he confessed to disposing of all 3 bodies by dumping them overboard using bodybuilding weights. While this was Miles' version of events, authorities found discrepancies in his account. Forensically, his explanation did not align with the evidence. For example, if Bison had indeed struck Serena in the head, causing her skull to hit the side of the boat, there should have been evidence of blood. Additionally, if Bison had used a wrench to strike the boat's captain, the wrench could have been presented as evidence. However, investigators found no blood on the boat, and the boat's dock and flooring remained unchanged, dispelling any notion of an effort to hide evidence. To this day, no official resolution exists. Officially, the case remains open, but there are no new leads. The only version of events the FBI got on record was that of Miles DeBoard, but authorities were never able to locate him. That was until the morning of September 15, 2002 at 11:30 a.m. Mexican police would find a body of a large man on the beach not far from the U.S. border wearing nothing but a pair of white socks. The man would immediately be taken to a nearby hospital. He had no reflexes, and his pupils were non-responsive. Injuries on his body suggested that he had not been moving for quite some time. 4 days later, fingerprints confirmed that the unidentified patient was, in fact, 35-year-old Miles DeBoard. The official diagnosis revealed severe brain damage, likely caused by an insulin overdose. By the time he was discovered, Miles had fallen into a coma and required life support. On September 26, 2002, at approximately 10 a.m., he was removed from life support, and the following day, Miles DeBoard, the sole individual with first-hand knowledge of the case, was pronounced dead. To this day, there are various theories and perspectives regarding the events on the ill-fated catamaran. Some speculate that DeBoard killed his brother to be with Serena, while others envision this as an elaborate disappearing act to start a new life. FBI investigators, considering the absence of blood evidence, believe that Miles coerced his brother and the other passengers into water at gunpoint in the deep, shark-infested waters of Tahiti, hundreds of miles from any land. Regrettably, the bodies of Bison Dele and his companions were never recovered and are presumed to have been victims of a probable murder. While many questions persist about the truth of what occurred, it is evident that jealousy and resentment may have played a huge role. For those who remember, not just the events, but the circumstances leading up to them, the saga of Bison Dele and Miles DeBoard remains one of the most peculiar and mysterious tales in NBA history. If you've enjoyed this content from a universe of mystery, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new and upcoming content.
The search continues for a former Grand Valley State University.
Cullen Finnerty hasn't been seen in a couple days.
Dozens of people and also canine units have just been scouring this area looking for any
He was last seen about 8:30 that night.
Search is going on right now, but the weather is hampering the
Derby was not familiar with the area.
Still unclear what may have happened to Cullen Finnerty. Is possible
So far, though, search crews have found nothing.
Welcome back to A Universe of Mystery. Today, we'll dive into a story of triumph, tragedy, and the enduring mystery of a man named Cullen Finnerty. Cullen was an extraordinary individual, known widely for his prowess on the football field, but today we dive deeper, beyond the accolades, into the heart of his life's journey. Cullen Finnerty was born on August 18, 1982, in Brighton, Michigan. His early life was marked by an unwavering commitment to football. At Brighton High School, he started making a name for himself, winning the Livingston County Football Player of the Year award as a senior and being named to the Ann Arbor News All-Area First Team. Even then, his talent was indisputable. After redshirting his first year at the University of Toledo, Cullen transferred to Grand Valley State University, where he would become a football legend. It was at Grand Valley State that Cullen had led his team to win the NCAA Division II football championships in 2003, 2005, and 2006, becoming one of the most successful quarterbacks in college football history. Each game, each season, further solidified his place in the NCAA Division II history.
On Memorial Day weekend, we always go to Baldwin, which is where my parents have a cabin. And it's just a time to relax, spend time with my side of the family.
In the weeks leading up to their trip, Finnerty complained of headaches and restless sleep. He was using oxycodone for his back pain. On Sunday, May 26, 2013, he asked his wife to drop him off at Bray Creek State Forest Campground for a solo fishing trip. 35 minutes later, at dusk, he called his wife in a panic.
He was disoriented. He didn't know where he was in the woods. He was afraid. I just knew when I spoke with him that something wasn't right.
Cullen Finnerty said he ran into two men on Baldwin River. He thought they might be following him. He was lost, scared, and confused.
So we looked in the woods all evening. It was getting, darker fast. And so I called the police to see if they could help us find him.
At 9:36 p.m., Finnerty made another call that lasted just 20 seconds. He told his brother-in-law, "I don't know where I am." By Monday morning, helicopters hovered above the 16 square miles of forest. Search and rescue dogs searched the brush.
We went over to the campground where he went missing. We fully expected Cullen to show up. He was tough. He could take care of himself, even in the woods.
All of us had our own idea of what he might have done. Maybe he took off and he was hiding, or he was lost and didn't know where he was.
Another night passed with no sign of Finnerty. Grand Valley State University sent a busload of coaches, players, and staff to look for Finnerty. By then, nearly 40 officers and hundreds of volunteers were scouring the woods. After 24 hours, Cullen's friends, family, and searchers became concerned for his safety. While searching the forest, Cullen's friend Kurt Ains, another former GVSU quarterback, and his wife came to a clearing, where Kurt's wife yelled, "Oh my God, I think I found him." The location confused Kurt because of how close the road was to his final location. It was so close he could hear the traffic. This was also only about 4/10 of a mile from where he made his final phone call. He was found face down, still wearing his waders and his fishing vest. Everyone was in disbelief. Police ruled out foul play. The initial autopsy was unable to determine the cause of death. In search of an explanation, the Finnerty family looked back to his past. Finnerty's brain was sent to Boston University to determine whether he suffered from CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative brain disease caused by repeated head trauma, common in football players. When the results came in, it was found that Finnerty was a stage 2 out of 4 for CTE, so he had the disease for a few years. The disease advanced in his brain even after he had stopped playing. However, family and friends dispute the idea that his brain was damaged or that he had any kind of dementia. No one saw any signs of that, but experts agree that CTE doesn't start with just one hit to the head. However, Finnerty only had one diagnosed concussion in his career. Although it's impossible to connect having stage 2 CTE to the series of circumstances surrounding his death, doctors agree it may have played a role. An updated autopsy determined that Finnerty died from pneumonia and inhaled his own vomit after he became disoriented. Cullen Finnerty's story is one of triumph, resilience, and an indomitable spirit. A man who rose from a small town in Michigan to the heights of college football, leaving an indelible mark on everyone who knew him, watched him, and cheered for him. But Cullen's story is also a reminder of the very human cost of the sports we love, the hidden struggles that often go unnoticed until it's too late. His untimely death sent shockwaves to the world of football and beyond, prompting a deeper examination of the sport's impact on its players. His legacy, however, lives on. Every pass thrown on the football fields of Grand Valley State University echoes with the memory of Cullen's powerful arm. Every victory achieved carries the spirit of the winningest quarterback in NCAA history. The echoes of his name, the memories of his achievements, and the lessons from his life continue to inspire future generations of athletes. His family, his friends, his fans, they remember him not for just the records he set or the games he won, but for the man he was. A devoted son, a loving husband, a fantastic father, a loyal friend. Cullen's wife, Jennifer, and their 2 children lost more than a football legend. They lost a loving husband and father. His parents, Tim and Maureen, lost their son. But in their loss, they have found the strength and the love and support of the community, the fans, and all who knew and admired Cullen. In the face of their grief, they have chosen to honor Cullen's memory by raising awareness about CTE and the risk associated with contact sports. Their courage serves as a beacon for other families navigating similar tragedies. If you've enjoyed this content from Universe of Mystery, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content.